Welcome to Our Stories Matter, Campus Voices, civil engagement in an era of division. This season, we're asking one urgent question. How do we engage across deep differences on college campuses without shutting each other down?
I'm Susie Hess, here with my co-host, Miri Bar-Helpern. At a time when conversations can turn tense, polarized, or silent altogether, we're slowing things down. We're practicing something harder than arguing, listening. In this season, we interview leading scholars, journalists, filmmakers, and legal experts who share practical tools for navigating difficult dialogue, including confronting the rise of Jew hatred on campus.
This isn't about avoiding difficult conversations. It's about developing the relational courage to stay engaged in them. It means showing up with curiosity, respect, and a willingness to listen, even when it's uncomfortable. Join us as we explore what it takes to remain in the conversation during a time of deep division.
Welcome back to Our Stories Matter. In a world that often pressures us into silence, where do people find the courage to be just unapologetically themselves? Today, we are joined by two incredibly fierce Iranian advocates. Matthew Nouriel is the Director of Community Engagement at Jimena. Matthew is a writer and a digital creator, and his work focuses on Jewish identity, LGBTQ advocacy, and antisemitism.
And we are also joined by Vivace Maxvictor, who's an executive coach, speaker, and founder of the Self-Worth Revolution. Vivace has been featured on many media outlets, such as Netflix, Bravo, Fox, and the New York Post for her work on confidence, trauma, and personal transformation.
This is such a powerful episode. Matthew and Vivace are both giving us tools how to manage false accusation, how to talk about advocacy, how to transition from trauma to post-traumatic growth, how to release shame. There's so many feelings in this episode and so many takeaways as well.
Yeah, and this is definitely a raw and empowering conversation because it's happening in real time while the war is occurring. So you definitely don't want to miss it. Let's get started. Welcome. We are really excited to have Matthew and Vivace today. So we wanted just to start off of talking about the focus that you both have on Jimena and the Self-Worth Revolution, a time when many Iranian activists, influencers, and students are actually being pressured into silence. And I know, Vivace, you took like a side turn at one point. So I'm wondering if you both can talk about how did you decide not to be quiet? And what does that look for you today?
I've never been quiet. It's just part of my makeup. It's part of who I am. I've always been pretty outspoken. I guess what amplified it for me, the breaking point was on May of 2021 when the Sheikh Jarrah incident happened. And there was this sort of explosion of not only misinformation, but disinformation about Israel, about Zionism, about who Jews were. It's kind of like only a fraction of what we saw after October 7th, but it was at the time, we didn't have anything to compare it to. And I just felt compelled to start speaking up. After that, of course, with the Woman Life Freedom Movement with Mahsa Amini. So it's kind of a long answer, I guess, but for me, it's never really been an option. It's just been part of who I am and how I am to be outspoken and say what's on my mind, and add to that, knowing that what I have to say resonated with certain people, compelled me to keep going.
For me, it was definitely October 7th. I couldn't process the events that had taken place in the silence that was simultaneously taking place. So 3 things. It was the murder of 1,200 people, which was equivalent to 30,000 Americans being murdered in one day. It's unimaginable. And yet people were silent. So on one hand, it was the 1,200 people who were murdered. On the other hand, it was the people who were raped, and they were gang raped, even in front of their husbands, in front of their family members. And this was simultaneously broadcast on GoPros. I couldn't imagine that in 2023, something like this could happen and be unchecked. And then the third thing was over 251 people were simultaneously taken hostage. That would be equivalent to 251 people going to a Taylor Swift concert or being pulled out of their beds, which is what happened at 6:30 in the morning from their homes, and just being taken into tunnels, and God knows what happened to them. Simultaneously, one of the biggest privilege that I have in my life outside of health and family is my American passport. I'm so proud of this thing. I was born and raised in Iran, as you know, and so the understanding, and Matthew understands the privilege of having this passport, is so extraordinary. So the fact that over 40 Americans were murdered on October 7th, and 12 Americans were taken hostage on October 7th, including a 3-year-old little girl, and the world stood silent. I couldn't process it. It was like a pinball machine in my head, swirling around and around. And I don't know if this is appropriate to share on your podcast or not, but when I was raped, and so my heart went out to all of these women who had experienced this, and men were raped also on October 7th. And it was the worst day of my life, and it ruined my life, essentially ruined my life. My life was never the same afterwards. And so I have a lot of compassion, anger, rage towards anyone who would do that to someone, let alone groups of people doing that to a single woman intentionally only because the person is presumably maybe Jewish. I find it completely unconscionable. In fact, right after October 7th, I created an audio of me just crying and crying and crying and talking about these rape victims. And one of my coaching clients had heard it. And at the time, I had left my apartment and went to Trader Joe's. And I remember he called me when I was at Trader Joe's, and I felt so supported by him. He wasn't Jewish. And he said, "Hey, Vivace, I heard your thing on Instagram." He called to support, and then he said the most shocking, vile, disgusting fucking thing that really pissed me off. He said, "But it didn't start on October 7th. I said, "Did you just justify the rape of all of these women?" And I literally told him, I said, "I appreciate you being a client of mine. I appreciate you supporting my business. I appreciate our friendship, but I can never speak to you again." And that was that.
Thank you for sharing this. One of the things I've been hearing from a lot of my trauma clients in my clinic, that the rape on October 7th was such a trigger for them for their own sexual assault and previous sexual assault. It almost felt, they said, "I feel like I was raped all over again."
Yeah.
And when people didn't believe those women, I feel like they didn't believe me. And the message that they're getting, and this is, Susie, about my spiel about traumatic invalidation, but that feeling of not believing, minimizing, justifying whataboutism, preventing healing from trauma. And when it's coming from the society, not just from one person, it's coming from society, now it really creates this existential crisis for people. And for a lot of my clients, it brought them back. So a lot of clients are already way past their healing process. As you know, healing is not linear. You go back and forth with trauma, but they're already moving toward the transformation and the post-traumatic growth. And all of a sudden it was back to that day. And the fact that people didn't believe them, watching the GoPro, watching what Hamas did. Hamas literally that day, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but Hamas changed the rules of the game because they filmed everything. So people, when you think trauma and you think that people that are getting a diagnosis of PTSD, usually you have direct exposure. This was direct exposure, even if you aren't in Israel, because of what they did. So I'm just, everything that you say, I know that I heard it in my clinic, and I'm wondering back to what both of you are actually saying, the silence and the need to speak up. And I'm thinking today, this day and age, when we're seeing what's happening in Iran, I know that I'm bothered by the fact that there's no protest about it in universities. That people are silent, that there's almost this hierarchy of pain, and people are not standing up for the people of Iran. And I'm just wondering, for both of you, what does that feel like?
Well, to me, it's paid to protest, right? So it's who's supporting these mass movements of pay to protest. These are not individuals who believe about a specific ideology. They're basically getting paid. So whenever there's a paycheck, they show up, and where there's no paycheck, they don't show up. It's pretty pathetic, I think.
I also think, yes, there is that element of it, but there's also a very large element of it that, we'd be remiss not to talk about, and that is the indoctrination via our systems of higher education that has been taking place for decades now, that we're just now seeing the results of. And I think it culminated with the response to October 7th. So I think that people, many people, young people specifically, have been indoctrinated into believing ahistorical disinformation items, if you will, about what Israel is, who Israel is, what Zionism is. They're being taught, it's not like it's a rumor being spread around by peers, oh, they're white colonizers, et cetera, et cetera. This is being taught straight from the top. It's coming from academia. So that indoctrination is something that we need to really delve into. And I think in terms of Iran, yes, it is a silence, and that silence is deafening. But I think, not to push back on what Vivace said, I agree that silence was deafening, but there's another element of it, which is when they're not silent. I'd almost would rather they were silent. But the problem is, it wasn't silence after October 7th. Immediately, that first post I made on October 7th, I was up till 6:30 in the morning making this post. Like, I had to take a Xanax to go to sleep at 6:30 in the morning. When I woke up 3-4 hours later, the amount of hate on that post, and that's one of the very few times I was like, I'm turning the comments off, because it was not, I would rather it was silence than that. And we really need to figure out where it is this came from, because I don't believe that that's organic in any way, shape, or form, whether it's paid to protest, whether it's paid bots, or whether it's, like I said, coming from academia, which it has been for decades. We need to get to the source of it, and that's what we really need to be solving as a community as a whole. And I still don't think enough is being done, certainly about academia.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Being in academia, now when anything is posted about me, they turn the comments off. Because when Miri and I had gone to Israel to present on mindfulness, that the comments just went so violent. And so now anything at USC, they turn the comments off because it's just me who's actually been to Israel. So I agree with you. So then I think about just connecting more with what you were saying about Zionism. I mean, obviously, I'm sure many of us on this call, probably all of us, have lost many friends and probably family, and who we are and how our identity has shaped who we are today. So I'm wondering, Matthew, if you can talk about maybe the identities of being queer and Zionist, brown and Jewish. Students don't know this. I mean, again, it's the white oppressor narrative is just said over and over and over again. So I wonder what you would say to students about the danger of slicing parts of yourself just to please the crowd.
All I can do is lead by example. I don't know what I can say other than you shouldn't have to compartmentalize yourself, your identity, to feel accepted. If you need to cut part of your identity off in order to be accepted by a group of people, those aren't your people. And what I learned through my life and through going through years of trying to do that, remember, I'm in my 40s now. It's not like I'm 25 years old. I went through a long period of time where I tried to do that, and it simply didn't work. Not because of any outside factor, but because I couldn't live with myself like that. And I had to sit down with myself and tell myself, what do you want to present yourself as a fragment of yourself, depending on which group? Like, where's the integrity in that? And I sat down and I said to myself, which is what I would tell any young person to do. And I said, present yourself unabashedly authentic to who you are, whoever you are in that moment. And if you evolve from that, you evolve from that. You don't have to stay in whatever it is that you think you are at any one given moment. But be yourself, and be unabashed, and be authentic always. And through doing that, you attract the kind of people who are your people. And you don't need to try to want to be a certain type of person. You are who you are. And if you love yourself and accept yourself, and think I think it's so cool that I'm gay, that I'm Iranian, that I'm Jewish. I think that is the coolest thing. And has it made my life hell at times? Yeah, try growing up with that in the Iranian-Jewish community in the 80s and 90s. It sucked. But I wouldn't change it for anything at this point, because I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of that identity, and I'm proud of being the kind of person who can stand strong in that identity, be a conduit for people to either change their mind about gay people or Jewish people or Iranian people or whatever it is, or to be able to hopefully inspire other people who might be in a similar position than me to be able to be authentic in themselves as well. And like I said, that's how you find your people. You don't need to go looking for them. They will find you when you're authentic.
You know what I love about what you're saying? It's that idea of post-traumatic growth as a community, right? We rise together from the trauma. And I love the idea of finding your people. And I'm wondering, I mean, back to your story, Vivace, as well. I mean, you literally paid the price of advocacy numerous times. And I'm thinking about some of our listeners are either, a lot of them are professors, some of them are students. Similar to what Matthew was talking about, what are, from your own experience, what are some advice you can give them, or what are some, even sharing it to validate their pain of what they're going through right now? What are some tips to give them of how to find their people or how to speak up?
I definitely agree with Matthew. I think when you stand in your power and your integrity and your truth and for values and for things that you believe in, some people will leave, but those are the people who are meant to leave. So fuck them, let them go. And then there's a whole new tribe that you attract without even trying. And that synergy of value, synergy of mindset, synergy of neshama, it's such a powerful, beautiful, magical thing. I know that I was never a big social media person. I didn't understand it. I didn't like it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. But after October 7th, I dedicated my Instagram to the hostages. Before that, I had coaching content on there. And I couldn't understand that all these people who had thousands of people who followed me for coaching, where I stood up for their rights and I stood up for their humanity and I stood up for their transformation and their wellness. The moment that I started to post literally just about the hostages, thousands of people unfollowed me. And I couldn't understand how these people who liked my virtues and my values at the same time simultaneously couldn't bear to stand up for others who were suffering. So it was so intriguing to me. I'm like, why would they leave? I don't understand. And so thousands more came. And I didn't try, and I didn't know how to do the algorithm, and I didn't know how to use hashtags, and I didn't know any of it. I didn't know the trending music. I knew nothing. All I knew was, here is the little microphone in my little cell phone, and I'm going to speak my truth, and that's that. And I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. And I said it because it needed to be said. And, on day 599, I was very close to some of the hostage families because I worked with them closely, obviously stood in solidarity with them to bring their loved ones home. And on day 599, I shared my story, which, is on YouTube, of my backstory of why I've been advocating. It's a backstory of my life, but it explained my advocacy because people couldn't understand the depth to which I was fighting for these people and the rage that I had and the turmoil and how it took over my life, standing up for these people. And it became my life, and it became just something that it bewildered me. It bewildered myself. I never thought I would be an advocate. I never thought I'd be on Instagram screaming, bring them home. And all of it was extremely, actually, the person who was most shocked was myself. And so one of the hostage parents saw my backstory, and she said, Vivace, you're a hostage. When I was younger, I didn't have a voice. I didn't know how to use my voice. I didn't stand in power. I didn't stand in authority. I stood in struggle. I stood in brokenness. I stood in being defeated. I stood in muting myself to maintain my safety. It was a tremendous force that was apparently in there, stifled, that became awakened within me. Again, nobody was more shocked than me that I was doing this stuff after weeks, screaming in the streets, holding hostage photos, and literally doing anything I could do to raise awareness for these people, which was not at all in alignment with any which way that I would identify myself as. Like Matthew said, he was always outspoken. I was always minding my own business. So this isn't something that I would inherently, naturally do. I think there's a massive power when you're talking about post-traumatic growth. Like, a lot of people don't know what everyone knows PTSD, right? They use it as regular jargon. Oh, I have PTSD going to the gym, or however they use it. I think post-traumatic growth is when you are broken. So this is where you are. And then actually trauma happens. You become more broken. And then post-traumatic growth is all of a sudden you grow. And you're so much more stronger and so much more powerful and so much more in integrity with yourself after the trauma. It's really miraculous. It's
It
very,
is.
very powerful. And it just, there's one of the trademarks I have is to pay freedom forward. I think there's a desire when you receive this type of freedom to pay it forward to other people so that other people aren't suffering.
I love that so much. I have so many thoughts from everything that you were saying, Vivace, like now and before. So I'm going to combine it all.
What is for you, like, one thing that about, for example, Mizrahi Jew, or one part in history that you wish every student group, every person would know when they call Jews in general, you're the white colonizer, European oppressor? Because I have so many stories of people viewing me and other people that, I mean, I see myself as white passing. Granted, I live in Massachusetts. When I used to live in Israel, I was darker than all of you here. I lost my color after moving to Boston. But there is something about not falling into this narrative when people keep telling you, no, you're white, you're an oppressor, you're a colonizer. Like, what do you want them to know?
I mean, first of all, I'd like for them to open a basic history book of the history of Jewish people, where we come from. You know, I used to always say to this, well, look at Mizrahi Jews, look at Jews for like my family from Iran. We've been there for 2,700 years, and Moroccan Jews, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I still do, because I feel like that there's a certain through line of history of Jewish history, and that kind of provides part of that through line. But the truth of the matter is, I almost feel like saying that does a disservice to many of our Ashkenazi brothers and sisters, because it almost sounds like you're saying, well, we're not the white colonizers because we're from the Middle East. The truth of the matter is, if you look at the through line of Jewish history, which is available everywhere for anyone to see, we all started in the land known now as Israel, Judea and Samaria, in the Levant. That's where our culture began. And this is irrefutable. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. You could say, oh, the Khazars, and it's all lies. Okay, this is irrefutable, and there's genetic testing. There's, help me out here, not agriculture.
There's archaeology that shows.
Archaeology, thank you. Archaeology, genealogy, and just written and oral history is all there. That's where we come from. And what I would say is, if you want to know the truth, hit me up. I will tell you the truth. I will put you in contact with professors, with students, with scholars, anybody else who knows the actual truth. If you want to keep going on living in La La Land because you have an excuse to take out all your rage and anger on a certain group of people that society has given you a free pass to do that to, go ahead, continue doing it. But the truth is what I'm interested in, always. And I feel like as long as you have the truth on your side, you're unfuckwithable, right? And that's what it comes down to. So, you know, and on the subject of gaslighting as it relates to this, there's a lot of like what I call pseudo-intellectual horseshit going on around this. And that this is what's coming out of the universities a lot of the time. And a lot of, well, this and then that and then that, and then the Jews who are here. And yes, there's Jews who are from Iran, but they're just Jews. It's just a religion, and they just said this and that, and the Yemenites, this. It's all bullshit. There's a very simple, very clear through line of who Jews are, where we came from, where we originated from, and how we ended up to the place in all the places that we ended up in. Oh, I hope that answered your question. I don't even remember what the question was.
I want you to teach a class both in K-12 and higher education. That's what I want. Can you come to my son's classroom?
No, but actually at Jimena, we are in the middle of developing a very easy, like hour-long presentation that, of course, is skewed towards Mizrahi and Sephardic history, because that's what we do, but that's precisely kind of what it will be about, and we will be able for anybody to bring on free of charge to learn that history. Yeah.
Matthew, we should talk at another time to see how we can maybe bring that to USC.
Look, you know, I was a little girl in Iran, Exhibit A. Okay, this was cute little me. And so in this photo, I'm probably under 9 years old. I don't know how fully developed my brain was, but I definitely knew the difference between fucking right and wrong. Okay, so like enough is enough. You know what's right, you know what's wrong, and that's that. As far as the shame drawer, it's the thing that I use with my coaching clients. You know, I ask them, what's in your shame drawer? And sometimes when we open up our shame drawer, there's so much shame in there that's not even ours. And I say, give it back to whoever the fuck it belongs to. So whether there's a shame or stigma attached to, as Matthew said, in the Iranian community of being gay, any shame that we're carrying about anything. So whether it's shame about Judaism, shame about being a woman, shame about not being smart enough, not being pretty enough, not having the perfect body, not getting the perfect grade, all of this goes into our shame drawer. And I think part of healing, you talk about post-traumatic growth, is to open the shame drawer and then see what's in there. I told you guys a story. I had one of my coaching clients. He started, and he was a successful man. He knew I talked about the shame drawer, and he started every single coaching call the same way. And he's the only person who's ever done it. But every coaching call, he'd start with, and Vivace found something else in my shame drawer. And so every call was about taking things out of a shame drawer. And then he was fine and he didn't come back because his shame drawer was empty. So I would encourage all the kids in school, you know the difference between right and wrong. You already have a heart, you have a soul, you have instinct that God gave you. So you don't need to be further developed to know the difference between right and wrong. You learn that in kindergarten or at birth. You knew that already. So I would just invite you to look at what's in your shame drawer and who the fuck put it there and give it back to them. And do not internalize anything that doesn't belong to you. If it doesn't belong to you, give it back. And it will be such a sense of relief. And I heard Brene Brown say, become shame resilient. And I want to encourage these kids, become shame resilient.
What is one advice you would give them?
Oh God, I don't know. Don't do drugs.
That's a good
Or
one.
do them responsibly. No, be true to yourself and focus and figure out what it is that you want to do with your life, or not. Just focus and be honest with yourself and true to yourself, and don't be. I feel like at that age is a time when we're all kind of searching for our people. I mean, I guess this is on theme with this discussion, and I guess I would repeat everything I said before, which is instead of searching outside for who your people are, search inside for who you are and let your people find you.
Oh, I love that.
I definitely agree. Be true to yourself is so important. When I was in college, I forced myself to study biology and I hated it. I didn't give myself permission to do the things that I wanted to do. So it just set me up the wrong way. And so I would definitely recommend 1,000,000% be true to yourself. I had a girlfriend of mine, her kid was going through college orientation, and they taught the parents this little trick, which she told me this 15 years ago, 10 years ago. I still remember it. So her kid goes to orientation and they gave all these different scenarios to the parents. Okay, and with the kids at orientation. So if you come and you find your roommate doing drug, and your kid calls you and says, my roommate is doing drugs, what should the parent do? You come and your roommate is hooking up and you call your parents, what should the parent do? And they gave all these examples of, if you come and your roommate's doing blank, you call your parents, what should the parents do? And the gift that was given to these parents was, ask your kid, what are you going to do about it? And I think it's so powerful, again, to give the agency back to the kid and say, okay, XYZ is happening at your college campus. What are you going to do about it? Person ABC doesn't want to talk to you. What are you going to do about it? Person XYZ is ignoring you. What are you going to do about it? I think it gives you a lot of agency to actually think about it instead of feeling demoralized and victimized and defeated and powerless and you're alone. There's nothing you can do. I think it's really powerful because when you step in outside of college in the real world, it is the same fucking question. What are you going to do about it? And so I think it's a beautiful opportunity for you to go to school for 4 years and to ask yourself, what are you going to do about it? And to realize you have so much power, authority, agency to decide what is going on inside of you. We have talked about, he's wearing his Hamas sweatshirt. So the worst type of terrorism is the terrorism that we do to ourselves on a daily basis. And so I call it the inner terrorist. And so how are you torturing and tormenting yourself and thinking that you're not good enough and you're not where you're supposed to be? And all this comparison stuff with social media, these these kids, they're bombarded with all this like comparison nonsense. Mary, if they've had trauma and now we're superimposing all this extra garbage in their skull, like how are they supposed to heal? I also think if you've had trauma, and we know this happens on college campuses, if there is any sort of sexual assault, I wish someone had told me. Mine didn't happen in college, but I wish I had been told. I obviously needed to be told. I don't know why. I mean, I know better now, but I didn't know this then, that I should have reported it. I just thought it was too late and it was a done deal. And what was the point? And I didn't. And that bothers me. It bothers me that I came home and I just try to go on with my life. And then later down the line, I almost took my life after this. And so I just want to say, for anyone who's having any sort of trauma, whether it's your family of origin trauma, any trauma that happens while you're at college, please get help. When you hit your darkest hours, I understand how that feels. I understand how devastating it is to just not be able to think about how you can manage the pain. But there's so many resources. There's so many opportunities to heal. There's so many things that are different. Please, if you go to a therapist and it's not successful for you, just go to another one and another one and another one and another one. Finding a good therapist is like finding a good boyfriend. It may not be the first guy you go on a date with. Just like give yourself the opportunity to heal. I thought I was too broken. I thought I was too far gone. I thought I was too fucked in the head. I just didn't have the right resources and tools. So I want to encourage you to get the right resources and tools. Whatever is causing you trauma in school, whether it's bad grades or the boy or girl you like doesn't like you back, or people are saying shameful things about your heritage. It's whatever is causing you pain. There is a solution for it, and you have so much agency to make sure that you go and get it.
I love that on so many levels. Yeah. I guess my final question for both of you, we've always been asking this question, but then especially of how you just ended it. What are you both going to do for your own healing, whether it's today or this week? Because I think as activists, influencers, coaches, students, like we have to take care of self first. So what are you both going to do?
I'm not good in this department. I admit it. I am going away for a few days for a friend's birthday, and I'm very much looking forward to beach time and kind of shutting the world out for a few days. So I think that's what I'll be doing for myself.
That's perfect. Mindfulness and connection with people that you care about and the beach, you're good. I love it.
Yeah, give yourself a chance to recharge. You deserve it. For me, I took my eye off of my business to a significant degree to do all the advocacy for 2 years. So I am fully committed. I am all in. I'm super focused. I'm very, very, very extremely grateful to my coaching clients, especially the non-Jewish ones who tolerated all my posts about the hostages and stood with me, stood in solidarity. I think it was a gift of a lifetime. So thank you for staying with me. And then now is my time to make sure I'm back in full force. And for all my clients, the biggest advocacy that I've decided to do going forward is not for an external movement, but it is for my coaching clients and my family and my friends. So I'm not going to be public facing. I'm going to be more private facing, and this will allow me to take care of myself, mind, body, and spirit better. The advocacy I did for the hostages, which was extremely important to me, I'm very proud of it. I stand for it and with it. Cost me tremendously in many ways. It especially evoked my trauma, as you had mentioned, to very deep degrees. I was told by various professionals that I should stop doing it because I was going through very dark times because of it. Given my history, it was dark. So I want to encourage your students who are watching this, or anyone who's watching this, take care of yourself. And if you need to take a step back to do self-care, that's your number one responsibility and priority. And anyone with 2 brain cells should support you.
Thank you both so much for reliving all of it with us and sharing your wisdom. We hope everybody is listening. Please follow as well. We're going to post all the links and all the information. You definitely want to follow Matthew and Vivace on their journeys and everything they post and the amazing merchandise. That Matthew, I'm definitely going to order this shirt. I want it for all the family.
Well, can we plug Matthew's merchandise? I don't know.
Yes.
Let's plug his merchandise.
I'm really bad at doing it. Nobody even knows I have it. It's the problem. But if you go to my one of the links in my Instagram bio is my Printify shop. And I just created t-shirts and hoodies with sayings and pictures of what I would want them to say. So
Can you give people some ideas? So maybe your Stripe account will start to ding, 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 ding in the next few days. What are some of the t-shirts, Matthew? Tell us. I want
what are some of the t-shirts? I have my favorite one is actually a beautiful picture of Shah Banu, the Empress of Iran, Farah Pahlavi, and it says Queen, Kween, Mother. I love that one a lot. I have one of Prince Reza Pahlavi with has like a cartoon crown on, and it says Royal AF. I have this one, Love Hummus, Hate Hamas. Golda Meir says it's her with a cigarette, and it just says Mother. There's a whole bunch of them. Just go have a look. They're really.
Oh my God, I'd love these. I'm so going to be on there.
While we're at it, Vivace, anything that you want to make sure that everybody's aware of, that it's on your website or your Insta?
Insta is my name at Vivace Maxvictor. I'm taking a little detour from Insta, so I'm going to LinkedIn for a while. And the website is Self-Worth Revolution. It's all about your self-worth. And I think that self-worth is not a luxury. It's like oxygen. You have to have it. And I suffered so much in my life because I didn't have it.
Self-Worth Revolution. I love it. And I hope this is all going to be a revolution for all of us and for all our listeners. I'm just going to plug in that we are standing with the people of Iran, and I hope more people will do the same. And thank you again so much for being with us.
Wait, one more thing I want your listeners to do, please. Go to actionforiran.com. Just the words action for Iran, FOR, Iran.com. Actionforiran.com has really easy, it's something anybody can do in under a minute. One-click emails, you click on the thing, it asks what state you live in, it tells you who your representative is, it auto-populates an email, you just click send, and it sends it to everybody it needs to send it to. It's something everybody can do to raise awareness and make sure that our elected officials and representatives know that their constituents care about what's happening in Iran and want them to know about what's happening in Iran. It is so easy, and everybody should be doing it. So please do that.
Listen, do it
right now. And follow them on Instagram too. Action_for_Iran. They put out incredible information.
Amazing, for sure. Thank you so much. You both are incredible. I'm so grateful for your bold, brave voices. And yes, we all stand in solidarity.
Yeah, Susie and Mary, thank you so much for setting this up. And Matthew, as an Iranian woman who was born and bred in Iran, and I grew up in Iran, I really honor you for standing up for the gay community of Iranians. I know that even now, at least in our family, it's not a thing, right? So like nobody's gay, nobody's a lesbian, nobody's suicidal. I speak very openly about, obviously, my past and my experience, and I know that it's extremely alarming. My video of my story that's on YouTube is very upsetting to my family, right? Because it speaks the truth. So I just want to say that as your Iranian sister, as someone who grew up in the land of Iran and also within the Iranian community, although I'm not very active in it, I just want to say it takes such a powerful man to be able to stand up and say the things that you do and to share your beliefs the way that you do, given the stigma and shame of our community around people being gay. So as your sister, I'm fucking proud of you.
Thank you. And I'm fucking proud of you too, as your sister. I mean, it's whether it's gay or not. I mean, to talk about sexual assault, to talk about sexual identity, gender identity, all of these things are considered very taboo to discuss in our community. So the reason you recognize that in me is because it's something you experience. It might not be for being gay, it's for something else, but it's a recognition.
Not being married.
Oh, you're not married? Okay, well, there you go. There's that. We can piss everybody off and marry each other. Or maybe they'd like it. I don't know.
I love this. Okay, so if I need to give a name for this episode is be loud, be bold, and be, how do you say it? Unfuckable?
Unfuckwittable.
No, you want to be fuckable.
I want to be
You definitely want to be fuckable.
Yes. Love it. Thank you both so much.
All right. Thank you so much again. Much love to you all.
Much
Thank
love
you
to
for
all of
having
you.
us.
Thank you for the
Bye.
opportunity.
Oh
Bye.
my God. Thank you so, so much. We'd like to thank the Academic Engagement Network for their generous support, music designer Ivan Reyes, podcast coordinator Chandler O'Reilly, and to all of our listeners. Today's episode is co-produced by Associate Professor Susie Hess and Dr. Mary Barr-Halpern.
Our Stories Matter, Campus Voices Civil Engagement in an Era of Division, is brought to you by Trauma-Informed Learning Alliance. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram and our website at traumainformedla.org.
Please give us 5 stars on iTunes so more people can have access, and donate to traumainformedla.org so we can keep healing through our storytelling episodes.